Matt Sheahan from PlanetSail. Last week you were showing off your brand new Cape 31 in the background, and this week you're showing off your aeroplane. Tell us about that aeroplane in the background.
Well, the big difference is that I do actually own a share of this one, where I owned absolutely nothing when it came to the Cape 31. But I do own this. This is a Nimbus 3DT. I'm one of the syndicate partners in this plane. I've had this plane for about 15 years, something like that. It's a two-seater. It's quite a big two-seater as well. You can see from the wingspan. There we go. Starts way out there,
Wow.
and goes all the way around to there. And it's called an open class plane, or it's in the open class. It's 27-meter wingspan, so it's a bit of a beast. They don't come much. There's only one or two planes in the world that are bigger than that in racing gliders. And we're up at Aston Down, which is in the Cotswolds, near Stroud in Gloucestershire. And we're competing in the open class national championships with one of my syndicate partners, Kim Tipple, who I've flown with for many years. And yeah, we're here at the national championships, which is all very exciting. There are 3 classes. I think there's 20 something in our class, and I think there's about 55 planes in all here in 3 different classes, and we're the biggest as in terms of the wingspan. And today is today is Wednesday, isn't it? And we've only had 2 days. Ours got cancelled yesterday. It was pretty rubbish weather around here. We had a long delay all day waiting to get off, and we were the last group to go, and we were binned in the end, so we didn't get flying, which is very frustrating. But other than that, we've been doing all right. We've had a 5th and an 8th, which for us is in this plane is very good, because this plane was built in 1986 actually, so it's getting on a bit now, and it's old technology compared to some of the planes that we're up against, which don't have the same wingspan. They're down to about 21 meters now for like a JS1 or something like that, but they're a hell of a lot quicker and they're more maneuverable. The glide slope's better at high performance, so we can hang in there when it's, I suppose the sailing analogy would be, when it's light and shifty and a bit tricky and you've got to work your way up the beat and be careful and not throw in too many tacks and the rest of it. We're very good in this when it's light and tricky and you've got to sort of weave your way through the thermals. But once the pace quickens and you start flying at over 85, 90 knots, we just lose out to the others. We can't keep the same glide slope, and then they get to the next thermal quicker than us, and then we're off the back foot. And I suppose what I should say is, a lot of people sort of say, well, yeah, but how does a competition work? And in short, it's just like sailing. We get set a course. So the other day we went from here into Wales, then we went down into Somerset, and then we went across into Oxford, down to Hampshire, just outside Winchester, then back up to the Cotswolds, and that was 360 kilometers. And we flew around that course. It took us, what did it take us? It took us 3.5 hours. So we averaged 100 kilometers an hour. And it's all about your speed around the course, so how fast you can get around the course. And as I say, we did all right on that day. We were 5th, and then had a very similar course the next day, and we were 8th.
Just keep an eye on that dog. I don't want that dog taking ownership of your plane in any way. You know how they do that sometimes.
Well, they do, don't they? Yeah, they're funny like that.
Yeah. So make sure it takes ownership of somebody else's and not yours. Now, Matt, it sounds like you're doing phenomenally well. I admire the fact that because sailing is such a weather-dependent sport, and it can be very frustrating, that you found something that's even more weather-dependent than sailing.
It is so frustrating at times. But you just have to, I mean, the number of days, the amount of time you spend, it's called a grid squat, basically, when you start to sort of waiting, and we're all on, everybody's on a text group, and the race director will, like yesterday, would say first start not before 11:30. Then you get a ping at 11:30. First start not before 12, and then not before 12:15, then not before 12:30, and it just goes on like that all day. You're on tenterhooks all day. I mean, it's just like a long postponement, I guess, for sailing. And yeah, we spent the whole day doing that. And I've done some. They're 9-day competitions, I should say. They start on one Saturday and they go right the way through till the following Sunday. And we've done events where we've only done 1 day in 9 days, and that can get really, really frustrating. And people, when I hear people sort of getting upset and frustrated at dinghy national championships, and well, we had to wait, an hour and a half at the start, 2 hours, it's just like, you've got no idea.
It doesn't make it right, Matt. It doesn't make it right.
Well, no, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, that we briefly mentioned the around the island race. That was a race of attrition last weekend, wasn't it? Around the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, it was. It looked really well. It was very breezy. I was just talking actually to our friend and colleague Steve Ansell, who produces the video reviews of that, or video material, and I was talking to him about it last night, and he was saying that at the start there wasn't an awful lot of breeze. In fact, the flags were limp at the start, but it was the wind against tide down at the Needles that was really quite unpleasant, and then around the back of the island was horrendous. And there's some, I don't know if you've seen it, there's some amazing footage of in fact, our friend Richard Langdon took with his drone incredible footage off St. Catherine's. And I think, I might have got this wrong, but I think Steve said to me that there was something like 950 entries, I think, and only 140 boats finished, which is incredibly low. I mean, I know they did actually cancel a few classes, didn't they, at the last minute? The small boats they cancelled.
Yeah, amazing. But well done to those that completed it. And Richard Langdon, who got all 3 drones in the air and brought all 3 drones back as well. That's that's not always easily done.
No, it's not.
I was way up north in Filey and Yorkshire doing the Musto Skiff Nationals. That there was a bit of waiting around there. It was pretty frustrating. And then on the last day, I don't know what happened, but my big toe decided that it had had enough sailing. That was just an immense pain. And I bailed out of the last day, which I'm a little bit ashamed about because I don't like doing that kind of thing.
How are you getting on up until then?
Tending to do one good one bad one. I think my traditional port tack starts were giving me some good exits out of the start line, and then they were giving me some fairly bad ones. So not very consistent on the starts, and I just don't have enough speed to pull through. I generally get the starts fairly well. And yeah, I was getting some good starts and then some others. It was too high risk what I was doing really. But anyway, lessons learned for the World Championships coming up in Weymouth next month.
And you're only young. I mean, you got your whole life ahead of you, Andy.
Well, I do. I'm only in the Grandmaster category, and I've got the Legends category to look forward to. So yeah, there's plenty of years left. But meanwhile, in the proper sailing world, the one that we normally talk about, it's not been a great week for Alinghi Red Bull Racing, has it? And I'm wondering what you think the implications of their mast breakage is, not just for that team, but for the America's Cup generally.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting. I think there's obviously, as anybody who's been following it will know, there's been an awful lot of speculation, lots of theories as to what happened and why the mast broke. All kinds of theories. I've had, as you would expect, had a careful look at the video, and there could be all kinds of reasons for it. I think the thing, whatever the reason is, and I'm not even sure we'll ever really know, to be honest. I mean, teams are notoriously tight-lipped when it comes to talking about anything technical, let alone failure. But I think what makes this one different, what would have certainly rung alarm bells throughout the America's Cup community, is that in this cup cycle, there's quite a high degree of one design elements in the rig. There's one design rigging, there's the tubes themselves are, although teams build them and design them, there's some strict controls over the D section that essentially the tube itself is one design. But there are, whatever the details are, there are one design elements. And of course, whenever there are one design elements in it, if something has failed, then if it's wrong, and I'm not saying it necessarily is, but if it is a one design element that's wrong, then it's wrong for everybody. And that will have caused, I'm sure, quite a lot of concern among the teams. So that was quite a significant moment. I also see, having said that they're back out on the water. They've got they call it their legacy mast, but basically their old mast that they were using before. From their first boat, they're using that on this boat, and they're back out on the water. back on the horse, and they're out there doing it again, which is good to see. But let's hope that it isn't something that has a repercussion then for other teams. But could also just be pushing too hard. But I don't buy into that, to be honest. We've seen people push pretty hard, and it's never as simple as that. But certainly an interesting situation.
Yeah, and any idea how many spare rigs are around and what the lead time is on building a new rig?
I don't, and I don't know because so what Alinghi did was, as I say, they used their old mast because I'm assuming, although I don't know, but I'm assuming it was the mast that came with their first AC-75, which was what their test boat. Well, not that it was their training boat. It was a boat they bought from the Kiwis, and I'm assuming that they've taken that mast and put it into this boat. But that's not always. It's not like swapping my mast over in the 400 or your Musto Skiff, where they're all the same. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of differences between them. But I'm assuming they use that, and some teams will have access to that. Some teams will have no doubt built new spars as well, a spare mast, but they're not cheap, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know how much they are, but I know they're more than my houses were. And so I'm not sure there's an awful lot of them hanging around the back or on top of sort of vans out the back. Say, oh yeah, I've got a spare one, just take that.
No, I highly doubt that. Oh, well, wish them the best for that. Now, we are going to see next week if we can tie ourselves together on a call with you being in New York and me being at Kiel Week in Germany. So we'll see how that goes. What's taking you to New York?
I'm going out there to do some interviews or to make some stories, basically, ahead of the Cup about the history of the America's Cup and how it started. So we'll be looking at, we've already done some filming and some interviews at the Royal Yacht Squadron where the America's Cup started. And then we go to New York, to the New York Yacht Club in Manhattan, which I'm very excited about because I've never been there. And it's supposed to be a fantastic club, a beautiful building with an amazing model room. You know what a sucker I am for model yachts. So, yeah, going out there to interview a few people. And I am very excited about that, actually. That's going to be superb. And what do you do? Your Kiel Week, did you say?
Kiel Week, yes. The combination of the Olympic classes and some of the traditional classes all in one big event. And I love that format. I just think that's the perfect format to have all kinds of sailor from the full-time Olympic professionals to the weekend warriors like you and me all racing at the same event. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I'd love to do it with you.
You will do, Matt. But anyway, back to your gliding. Best of luck with the weather forecast. Hope it's light and fickle, just how you like it. All right. Safe travels in the sky.
You too. Cheers, Ed.
See you soon.